Hi, I'm Holly Middleton, and this video will introduce you to audience and genre expectations for the TNP narrative. At the end of the video, you'll see a link. Please do follow it and complete the form so that we can get some feedback on its effectiveness. So I served on the College of Arts and Sciences TNP committee in the past, and I subbed in for the HBS TNP committee last year. And the processes have remained pretty much the same. So I'm going to be speaking from personal experience, but also from my knowledge as someone who teaches and researches writing. What I want you to take from this video are three things. One is that it's important to understand the purpose of the tenure narrative as a genre. It's important to understand the audiences for the tenure narrative and what they read for. And it's important to understand the role of evidence and trajectory in writing an effective narrative. Okay, let's turn to how the TNP committees will read your work. They're trained by the university attorney on two main rules. One is to follow the faculty handbook, and two is to apply a clear and convincing standard of proof. For these reasons, we're going to have a look at the relevant pages in the handbook and what clear and convincing means in a practical sense. So I'm on page 90 of the faculty handbook here, and this is a really important page where they define the purpose of the narrative document. So you're going to see that here the purpose is for the candidate to make their strongest possible case for their eligibility for tenure and promotion, to explain how and why you approach your craft, be thoughtful and philosophical, so readers can understand your career arc. So your achievements, your documentation, everything in your appendices counts as evidence for your case. And you want to be able to, of course, point to or refer to that evidence within your tenure narrative. Your career arc is your trajectory. When they read the tenure narrative as a whole, the question before the committee is going to be, does the candidate make a clear and convincing case for tenure and promotion? So it's not only is the case made, but is the case clear and convincing? And so it's just important to understand that that's what they're going to be reading for. Now, if we go to page 191, another important page, here's where they kind of lay out, well, these are the required sections of the tenure narrative. Teaching, scholarship, university service, future development plans. If you go up to the top of the page, the narrative document will consist of an introduction, sections on teaching, scholarship, and university service. No mention of future development plans in the actual sentence, okay? This is an example of terrible editing, and it's really important that you're just aware that there's a gap, okay? Just because it's not mentioned up here doesn't mean it's not required. Okay, so let's go back down here to where it defines the future development plans. You'll need to provide a discussion of your future plans in all three areas. So, scholarship, teaching, and service, in order to help reviewers understand that there's a clear path to continued excellence in all three areas. This is where they're referring to your trajectory again. Okay, so those are the required sections. The criteria by which the committee is going to evaluate you are the faculty performance standards. These are on page 169 to 175, section 4.1. You know, you can always jump around to these sections from the table of contents page in the faculty handbook, of course. Okay, let's talk more about audience. The school TNP committee reads for a standard of proof, but they also read with a true generosity of spirit. They want nothing more than to be dazzled by every TNP application, and they often are. When I was serving on TNP, it was my most meaningful service experience because I got to read about all the amazing work that gets done on this campus by people like you. So it's incredibly rewarding and meaningful. Okay, so they have one question before them, and that is, did the candidate make a clear and convincing case? And then they have to write a recommendation to support that case and provide all of the reasons for why they're voting the way they do. So what you want to do is make their job as easy as possible. You don't want them to have this lengthy discussion about whether or not you made a strong case, because the longer that they have to debate and kind of parse your narrative, the less clear and convincing it is, right? Um, so you want them to just start listing all of the ways that you made your case. Put together that really strong recommendation, okay? I got notes. You want to explain your research and its impact in a way that someone outside your discipline can easily understand. Um, you want them to easily locate plenty of evidence, right, for how you met the performance standards for your scholarship, teaching, and service. And you want to create a coherent image of you and your work so they can easily imagine what your future path is going to look like. That's your trajectory, right? All of these things come together to allow them to make a strong evidence-based recommendation for the university committee. So from HBS, it will go to the university committee, your recommendation and dossier. They will make a recommendation to the Vice President of Academic Affairs, who will take that to the President, who will make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, and only the Board of Trustees can approve it. So we do not know how our upper administrative audiences make the decisions that they do. To be strategic, we need to think of them as increasingly skeptical. One thing I would advise is not only to make your case as clear and convincing as possible, but as explicit as possible. And for that reason, I'm going to suggest ways that you can make that evidence, in addition to what we've been talking about, just like the references to evidence and the references to performance standards, explicit. A tenure narrative can be a real opportunity to shine. It's the only time, you're going to write this genre once or twice in your life. So it can be a really beautiful thing. You can do this.